Good evening, Uncommon Bond podcast family. Um, we felt it was important to put out a short video just detailing and talking about the heroes of Monday's shooting in Nashville, because the discussion will not go into each one of those lives that were lost. And we felt it was important that we at least discussed them and gave them a proper acknowledgement for the ultimate sacrifice that all of them, all of the heroes, all six heroes in that situation, we just felt that all six heroes needed to be mentioned and discussed. So they will be talked about very briefly here. Following this, the episode discussing the where do we go next? Where do we go from here? Will be at times intense, at times lighthearted, but not in a joking manner. So that is why we decided that this needed to come out originally and first, so that anything you see on the actual show is not misconstrued as taking this situation in any lighthearted manner. We are all human. We deal with pain and sadness in different ways, and the discussions that surround this situation they vary in many different ways. Well, we're all parents. We all wake up and go to work just like you all do. And so we just wanted to preface the conversation with this brief breakdown of the heroes, and then talk lightly, very, very lightly, about the assailant. I will say each member as we are, because we are, or we were at one point children. We are parents. We all wake up and go to work. We are all human beings at the end of the day. So we are Catherine Kuntz, 60 years old, head of school, principal, if you may, who was on a Zoom call when she heard shooting in her school and abruptly hung up and went. There is no doubt in my mind, and there is no doubt in anybody who has reported this and anyone that knows Ms. Kuntz on an intimate level, that in a position like that, you run toward the danger, not from it. She is a married mother of two. She was always a huge advocate for her students, personable and liked by all that came in contact with her. You will also say, yes, of course, like we mentioned, she's a hero. As the school leader, she hired a group to train the entire school on active shooter protocols. Without a doubt, by all reports, what that training did for the people inside of that building saved many, many lives. Windows were covered, children were out of sight, educators were armed with their EMS packages or, first aid kits for anything that, any wounds that may have happened while this thing was going on, while this situation was happening. So by all accounts, Mrs. Catherine Kuntz did everything a school leader should do. Besides paying the ultimate sacrifice, she prepared that staff for what could happen and what did happen. And ultimately, due to those trainings, many lives were saved. She loved giving back. She worked as an academic dean and director of learning services before becoming the head of the school in 2016. A hero, point blank, period. We are Big Mike. Big Mike, affectionately called that by the children, who was a custodian in that school, a private Christian school, Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee, a custodian for over 13 years. The children called him Big Mike. His name is Michael Hill. father of 7, 61 years old, loved children, known for sending encouraging texts to family members, his children, of course, and friends and coworkers, various times, during the day or in the morning. We don't know exactly how and why certain things happen, but we do know that Michael Hill is another hero that sadly, gave the ultimate sacrifice. We are Cynthia Peak, loving mother of 3, a wife, teacher, a substitute at the school, 61 years old, had an infectious laugh, homemade Christmas ornaments she made for all in her 3rd grade class, loved family, loved children, made great banana bread, and drove a hot red sports car. Also paying, or giving, the ultimate sacrifice of her life during that time. So those are 3 of the 6 heroes. Moving to the children, who are also heroes. Haley Scruggs, 9 years old, loves sports, especially soccer and basketball. Youngest of 4, leaves behind 3 brothers, John, Charlie, and Carter. 9 years old. Hero. Haley Scruggs. 9-year-old Evelyn Dykehouse. 1 sister she leaves behind, a 5th grader, who said, "I don't want to be an only child." She's described as a shining light, loved by her family and her church. Yeah, a beautiful young 9-year-old Evelyn Dykehouse. We are also 9-year-old William Kenny, who was quick to laugh, very kind young man who loved his sisters and adored all of his family and was very inclusive to all peers and even older elders. Loved hosting company and as someone put it, he knew no strangers. 6 heroes. Catherine Kuntz, Michael Hill, Cynthia Peak, Haley Scruggs, Evelyn Dykehouse, William Kenny. You think about that, and I did this recording more than a couple of times, only because it was hard for me to get through the 9-year-olds. Of course, the elders in this situation are very valuable. There's just a different part that touches us all when children, are snuffed out before the age of 10. This is difficult. It's not easy. We're going to talk about the events of that day, and we're going to talk about Audrey Hale, 28-year-old former student. And this is where the conversation of this situation becomes upsetting, because Audrey Hale had some mental health concerns. Nothing red flagged or anything that would take away firearms or anything. Audrey Hale legally purchased 7 firearms from 5 local stores, using 3 of those weapons in Monday's attack: an AR-15, a 9mm pistol, and a 9mm Smith & Wesson. Her parents saw her leave the house. in that morning, on that morning with a red bag. They asked about what was in the bag, but didn't think anything of it and didn't think that she owned guns. And so then she left the house and arrived on campus in her Honda Fit shortly after 10 a.m. on Monday. Here's where there is anger, and it's not misplaced. The parents knew that she had purchased one gun, but thought at some point it had been sold. There's a mental health concern, right? Where Audrey Hill is getting some type of assistance. And for the fact that there was a gun purchased at some point, as a parent, you have to continue to search that room. You have to continue to search that person, the bag. When you're leaving, you don't just get to leave. Because I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I don't know. None of us do. How many days in a row did Audrey Hill leave the house with that red bag where there was not a thought to be like, empty that? What's in there? In any event, Audrey Hill arrives at the school shortly after 10. First shots are reported at 10:13 a.m. She shoots through the glass side doors on the first floor, crawls through, the broken glass area that she shot through, and then proceeds to make her way through the building. By accounts, it says that the way they found Catherine Kuntz, the hero, there was some sort of confrontation. In any event, Audrey Hill goes up to the second level. Police do show up. They enter on the first, go to the second, and 14 minutes later, Audrey Hill was killed by two veteran officers, heroes, and the ordeal came to an end. But it doesn't end there, because now you have all of these children, all of these staff members that will never be the same. They will never be able, most likely, to re-enter that building. This is what I will say in closing. Um, in and this is totally unrelated. This is just me talking about us as podcasters, myself, Steph, a dean in the special education community for over 15 years, MC, a principal in New York City, King Picasso, a fireman, Gifted Gab, an educator and counselor, and R&B Reem, who has counseled many youth after incarceration, helped them get jobs, get suited and booted, if you will, for interviews and get their life started past incarceration. And also G Gorgeous, who also, as an entrepreneur, is a great example of what to do and how to do within a community. Father of four, R&B Reem, father of three, myself, father of one, MC, father of one, Picasso, father, and I could be missing count, but I want to say father, four. I could be wrong, but I believe it's four or three. As men, as fathers, we don't take this lightly. And it affects us because every day you wake up and you kiss your children, or you send a text message to your child, or you call your child, and you never know if that day is your day. When it comes to Audrey Hale, when it comes to the world we live in, there are multiple conversations about how we identify, um, the letters, and the community of alternate lifestyle. That is not the conversation for this. I did not mention gender because to me, Audrey Hale identifies as a coward, an evil person who, unfortunately, yet fortunately, is now dead. I say unfortunately only because nothing would do greater service than for a person like that to just sit and rot under a jail, or to face some type of execution, uh, and face the people for whom they've robbed those people's children, their wives, their husbands, their sons. Nothing would be greater than for that coward to face those people. But gladly, Audrey Hale was executed and killed as an evil coward should be. That's the conversation. Those are my feelings. They are not to represent the group. That is what I feel. The episode is coming up. Be mindful. Think about what you would do, how you would do, and how do you approach what happens next. Because that's what we tried to do in this upcoming episode of the Uncommon Bond podcast. All cowards deserve to die. When you're out here killing children, you will get nothing but the identification of an evil person and a coward. That is how we identify Audrey Hale. Coward.